Welcome to In Good Spirits, a show that explores the history and magic of our region's best hospitality hotspots.
That's right, Angie. We're going to hit the road to find that secret elixir to keep us all in good spirits.
Our first episode explores the vibrant, cosmopolitan reinvention of what was once called the Sleepy Hollow. Check out how little old Geelong has grown up.
If you haven't been to Geelong in recent times, you really need to. We're in the heart of Little Mallet Street Precinct, and this is where it all happens. Tonight, I'm going to take Angie out for a night of sophistication in good old G-Town.
Now, George has told me to dress up because he wants to show me a classy night out in G-Town. I must say, I felt a little bit suspicious when he told me to meet him at a wrought iron company. I don't know what I'm in for here. Award-winning cocktail maker and my co-host, Gorge Camorra, has created an escape that captures the allure and mystery of a bygone era, where good times had to be kept on the down low.
Welcome to the 18th Amendment Bar.
Well. This is not what I was expecting. Cheers. George, you certainly know how to set a scene. It's so mysterious and elegant. What do they call it? Speakeasy. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a speakeasy. So during Prohibition in America between 1920 and 1933, it was illegal to drink, sell and transport alcohol. So most of the bars were illegal speakeasies with hidden entrances. I wanted to make it look like you're coming into a wrought iron factory, and when you step in, you're transported back to Chicago in 1920s.
Hence, I tried to come in what I thought was a wrought iron place because I need a new gate, and here I find myself with a cocktail in hand. So did you have to do a lot of research and travel and study the whole speakeasy feel?
A lot of travelling around the world and looking at other speakeasies. So
that sounds tough.
No, it's really good. It's very addictive though. I just love the era. It's fantastic. Something about the 1920s and 1930s.
You make it feel like with the music, the decor, you feel like you're back there, don't you?
We tried to make it as authentic as possible.
I love the secrecy of it all, the bottles that are disguised as penguins, but they're really actually alcohol, right?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the cocktail shakers on the display cabinet, back in those days, if they were to get raided, the cocktail shakers look like penguins and fire extinguishers and stuff like that. And there's some of the ones I've collected. How
did you actually come up with the name 18th Amendment?
The 18th Amendment was the law that brought in Prohibition in 1920.
Can you imagine being back in that time?
It's the first time that the mob established themselves because they were bootlegging the alcohol. It was the first time that women and men could drink together because pre-Prohibition, saloons were only allowed to have men in there, and so the women became more drinkers and a bit more promiscuous, and yeah, it would have been a crazy time.
The drinking culture's changed a bit now, hasn't it? What would you say from what you see?
When I first got into the industry in Geelong nearly 20 years ago, the Geelong cocktail was a Jim Beam and Coke. It's definitely changed a lot now. You come in to drink quality over quantity.
And there is a big movement of non-drinking, isn't there? And you cater for that, don't you?
Yeah, non-alcoholic cocktails and low ABV cocktails are really big at the moment.
Like ABV?
Low ABV, so low alcohol cocktails. So for example, a cocktail that might have one shot of alcohol or half a shot so that you can continue to drink all night. They're really popular. I'm drinking a Negroni at the moment, which is a non-alcoholic Negroni. We spend just as much time on our cocktails that are non-alcoholic as the alcoholic ones.
Now I see a $500 cocktail on your menu. Has it ever been sold?
We do. We have a $500 cocktail which is called the Billionaire Sazerac, which has Pappy Van Winkle 23-year-old, which is the rarest and hardest to get bourbon in the world. And it also has King Richard Hennessy, which is a cognac that's up to 200 years in there.
And you sell some?
We've sold about 8 of them. If you buy the cocktail, we'll put you on the social media, so some people would just do it to get on our social media, but we sell a couple a year.
And I think I saw some very expensive shots as well.
We do. We have a shot that's $500 a shot as well.
Whoa.
Which is a Caraya whiskey made in Geelong 90 years ago.
Now, you are an award-winning cocktail maker, or some people say mixologist, but you don't like that, do you?
No, I don't like the word mixologist. I'm a bartender.
Is there a secret to being excellent at what you do?
If you can make a peanut butter sandwich, you can make a cocktail. It's really just challenging it and testing your palate and learning about flavours. That's the most important thing.
Well, I could certainly settle in here all night, so I'm just going to prop up at the bar and watch the show. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Cheers.
Feeling in good spirits now.
Initially established to make military uniforms during World War I, the Federal Mills Precinct became one of the most high-tech mills known throughout the entire world.
It sure did, and now it's been completely reinvented to be this hive of creativity and activity with startups, entrepreneurs, bars, distilleries, cafes, you name it. This is where all the cool kids come to work and play.
That's right, Angie, that's why we're here.
Speak for yourself. I'm not that cool. First stop, the amazing mill markets.
How good's this? Cheaper than diesel.
Ha! Surely you had one of these back in the day, George?
Angie, you know a gentleman never talks. Hey, Ange, I think you need these to stand next to me.
What are you trying to say? Well, I think you could do with a new look.
Oh, wow.
Attractive.
How is that? Okay, Angie, so you're going to head inside. I've organised a little gin tasting for you and your lovely lady friends. I'm going to go next door to 1915 and work on the next surprise.
Oh, you do spoil me. What's going on? Thank you. Owned and operated by ex-microbiologist Derv McGowan, we were in for more than just a gin tasting. Derv's passion for sharing the stories of unsung women of history made it a truly memorable experience.
Hello everyone, welcome to Anther Distillery. I'm going to take you through what we call at Anther our sensory tasting. So you have 5 gins in front of you, we have some garnishes there as well, and in this little ramekin here we've got juniper berries, which are the heart and soul of gin, a little bit of lemon scented gum, which is a native that we use commonly in our gins, and we've got some coriander seed, which gives a lot of lemon flavour to our gins.
Okay, so do we crush these up and put them in drinks, or what do we do with these? Smell them?
You can do all of those things. What I like to tell people to do is to crush it up and smell the botanical, so that's a juniper berry you've got there. And then if you nose the drink, the juniper elements of the drink will sit up. It's very cool. So the lovely thing about this gin, Miss Gina, is that when you add a tonic to it, it goes a very soft pink colour.
So good.
All right, everyone, to finish off, we've got some lovely cocktails. There is one I'd like to showcase called the Hanky Panky, which is one of my favourite stories. We love to tell sort of stories at Anther through products. So the Hanky Panky was invented by a woman called Ada Coleman in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And she was an amazing cocktail bartender known by Marlene Dietrich, Charlie Chaplin. The Prince of Wales called her a kind and generous woman. The next bartender to become a head bartender at the Savoy was Harry Craddock, and for some time after he was credited with the Hanky Panky.
Thankfully, over time that changed, with Ada becoming widely recognised and celebrated by women in the bartending industry.
We made this gin to honour women hidden by history. We've done things on the label like we've hidden our logo, we've hidden another element of it here, which is a telescope. This gin was originally made to celebrate an astronomer called Maria Mitchell. In the mid-1800s, she was a professor of astronomy. She discovered a comet when she was 16. There's a frigate in the Navy in the Second World War named after her. There is a sea on the moon named after her. I think we just should know about these amazing women, and that's one of many, many women that have been hidden by history.
So here's to the unsung ladies of history. Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
How cute are these? In COVID, Derv created these little travel packs. So we've got the full range of gins in these little light packs and cocktails in a pouch. How very convenient to pop in your handbag. And in the spirit of supporting women, we have Miss Gina, and the proceeds of Miss Gina are going to the Australian Gynecological Cancer Foundation to raise awareness for the 8 different types of gynecological cancers that most of us don't know about.
This week I'm going to create one of my favourite classic cocktails. It's called the Old Fashioned. It's been around since 1881. It was created at the Pendennis Club in Louisville, Kentucky. Now what I love about this cocktail is it is very simple to make at home, and it only has 3 ingredients. So the first ingredient that I'm going to use is Jim Beam pre-prohibition rye. We are in a speakeasy at the moment, so I want to do something from that era. I love this rye whiskey. I get a lot of caramel, vanilla, a little bit of mint there, and just some really nice spice from it. 60 mils, or 2 shots. Next up, I'm going to use 15 mils of sugar syrup. Easy to make at home, it's just 50-50 sugar and water. Just adds a little bit of sweetness to the cocktail. And for a little bit of balance and complexity, a few dashes of Angostura bitters. I'm going to add some ice, give it a stir. Now what I love about this cocktail is if you're not into rye whiskey, you can make it with bourbon, you can make it with scotch, aged tequila, rum. Rum old fashions are fantastic as well. And all I'm doing right now is I'm chilling down the drink but also diluting it. So it's really important to check your drink as you're making it. Yeah, that's really good. So I like to serve it up in a small tumbler glass or a rocks glass with a nice big block of ice there. The reason that I use a big block of ice is I don't want the drink to over dilute really quickly. We're just going to strain that. It's making me thirsty already. And for the garnish, just buy a peeler from a homeware store, a little bit of orange. You're going to spritz those essential oils over the drink, drop it in, and that is the old-fashioned.
And while we've been sipping gin, George has been around the corner at the other gem that lives beneath the historic North Geelong smokestack, and that is 1915. A soaring 2-storey conversion of a 100-year-old red brick boiler house that once powered the region's largest woolen mills. Whilst many of the uber-cool industrial features of the building remain, the interior has undergone an exquisite transformation, blending in contemporary elements with warm textural design, creating a stunning aesthetic within.
Okay, Cam, so thanks for having us at your amazing establishment. Tell me a little bit about the vision.
We looked at this entire site and we had a lot of doubters. I was actually told in one of the planning meetings, perhaps you shouldn't have bought it because everyone thought it was destined for the bulldozer type thing. So we had the same sort of thing with the venue itself. No one's going to go out there, back a bird. Why would anyone want, something of this calibre out here? You should be thinking about simpler pub food type stuff. I do eat out a lot, and a lot of my view and my dream for this space was driven on what I like to do and what I want to eat.
So I know you got your finger in a few pies in town as well, in Geelong Centre. Is there a bit of a vision, something else happening there? Or?
Let's just say there's 2 other sites in town that I do have my eye on. One that involves a rooftop and a large space of over 1,000 square metres, which has actually got a very similar feel to this space. And, walking past you wouldn't even think it exists.
That's super exciting because I honestly believe that Geelong has changed, especially in the last 10 years. We get a lot of people from interstate, from Melbourne and so forth that are loving what's happening in Geelong, and you're a major part of it. So yeah, thank you and congratulations.
Yeah, no, we always used to say Geelong's a city of dreams, and I think finally we can actually lay some claim to that statement because everyone wants to be part of it, and now we're officially the cool kids. So let's see whether that continues.
More than just a pretty face, 1915 serves up delicious, locally sourced, Mediterranean-inspired dishes that complement the top-shelf wine, beer and spirit offerings. And as George promised, he and award-winning chef Andy Simeonakis were prepping to impress us ladies.
Okay, chef, so what are you making for us today?
Today we have some South Pacific oysters, and we're going to do a couple different flavourings. We have a flying fish wasabi roe. We have finger lime sort of sauce with some Anther gin for the Geelong one. This one here is a pig face verjuice from South Australia. And this one here is a special gin sorbet, which will accompany the oysters very well. Here, the last one here we have is a habanero and lime sort of pickle with a bit of flying fish roe.
The menu is Mediterranean inspired and is crafted daily by Andy and his team. You can choose to dine a la carte, or as we've done, you can choose to trust the chef.
So ladies, what I've made for you to complement your lunch today is a pomegranate sour. The pomegranate will go really well with those little pomegranate chunks in the quinoa salad. And also I've done a twist on the south side, except I've added a special ingredient, and it is a green ant jelly, which uses native green ants from Darwin. And
What?
Yeah.
Could have told me that
You're gonna-
after I drank it.
So I'd love to give it a try and see what you think.
Cheers, ladies.
And as you can see, you know, like cocktails can match with food perfectly as well. It doesn't just have to be wine.
Well, George, you sure know how to pick the hot spots. All the boxes were well and truly ticked on this experience. Ambience, warm and friendly staff, and food and drink to die for. A vortex of fun, the Piano Bar in Geelong is renowned for pulling you in, shaking off your stress, and sending you off with a slightly more colourful view of the world. And the ringmaster? Meet the bedazzling owner, Andy Popjoy.
Okay, time to show us your moves. Angie, do the shake. Oh, that's amazing. There, George, do the shake.
The concept is simple. Request any song and they'll have a crack. It's a place of inclusion, where everyone that steps foot in the door will feel welcomed and celebrated.
Andy Popjoy, you are the mastermind of the now really well-known and respected and popular piano bars. Tell me a little bit about your history before opening up the piano bars.
Yeah, I have had a long career just playing gigs. Well, I got a business card from an agent. I was working at a burlesque bar, you know, which is a classic strip joint, basically, in South Melbourne. He said, man, I'm an agent. I want to book you on the cruise ships. These cruise ships have 4,000 passengers on it. This little room had 100 seats in it. Grand piano in the middle of it, bar over there. Knock yourself out. Thinking, well, hang on a minute. If I could just get like a small room in the middle of town, if we just staffed it ourselves, and all I did was just have a gig all year round, wouldn't that be awesome? So just underneath your fine establishment, 18th Amendment in Geelong, we had basically something the size of a school bus. We could barely fit 50 people, so small someone farted, the door would blow open. When we opened, it was my house painter in the kitchen, it was my dad behind the bar, and me and my best mate Chandel on the piano. And we just started something. You know, it's not just music now, it's drag and it's other, you know, performance art that we put on in here that people would not normally come to in a regional town. We've become a centre for that. A crazy idea on a cruise ship, thinking maybe this would work in Geelong.
You moved to the next venue, which was a little bit bigger, and I was a bit sceptical, thinking, oh, you know, why wreck something that's working so well? And yet again, you outgrew that venue into this one. So tell me a little bit about your demographic, the people that come in here, and what are they drinking predominantly?
Well, we call it the 3 Gs, the grannies, the girlies and the gays of Piano Bar. They come and they drink a lot of vodka sodas with extra lime. So a lot of our music venues don't offer the food situation. They don't offer the level of bar service that we're aspiring to offer, where it's something you could bring your grandma to, but you could also come out with the girls and have a really good night and not feel like you're sitting at a nightclub or that you're too old or you're too daggy or you know, it's just a matter of including everyone and making everyone feel like it's just a little bit nice, a little more elevated.
We're super excited tonight for the drag bingo. Tell me a little bit about what started you to just start having the drag nights, because they are so popular and very hard to get in.
So these 2 drag queens, Art Simone and Filma Box, were mutual acquaintances of one of our managers here, and said, why don't we come in and we'll just try a drag night in the small venue. And there was something immediately that just vibed with that, and you put that together with the music, and it just puts people in a good mood. With the drag element of Piano Bar, as it's broken down the barriers between, you know, the straight people and the gay people. You know, they come along and they go, oh, it's not that bad. It's just a couple of men in dresses who are quite funny. And we don't actually have any prizes, and no one's actually here to win anything. It's just have a few drinks, catch up with a friend or 10 friends on a Wednesday night when not much else is happening in a regional town.
We'll keep an eye on your empire and see and watch it build, and thank you so much for having us.
Absolute pleasure, George. Yeah. Thanks, mate.
And for some glamour tips, I couldn't resist popping backstage for a sneak peek behind the curtains of the drag world. I'm so excited. I've never been behind the scenes of a drag show, and you're going to tell me all the inside info so that I could potentially become one too. Is that right?
I think you're digging yourself a hole if you want to become a drag queen. It is a life of sadness, misery. No, it is high camp, always. As you can see by the walls in here. Yeah, one of the more glamorous dressing rooms here.
Now tell me, how did it all begin for you and what drew you to doing it?
I went and saw Kinky Boots when it was in Melbourne, and I just thought it was fabulous. I was like, I don't know what they're doing, but I want to do it too. So then I started to go watch drag shows, started watching RuPaul's Drag Race, and I was like, hell yeah, I could do that.
So were you a performer beforehand?
I was very dipping my toe in musical theatre. I did gymnastics, so that kind of helps a
That
little.
comes in handy.
It comes in handy a little bit, yeah, but musical theatre was, I feel, the gateway drug.
So what do you do during the day?
A normal day in drag consists of waking up at maybe midday and preparing to get into drag. Yeah, it takes a lot of preparation.
All day?
Yeah.
Mentally and...
Mentally, yes. But somehow we end up on the stage looking glamorous, having a great time.
Splendid. And a little incident today? Or...
Yeah, I cut myself shaving. I'm so sorry. I wasn't ready for this. No, it is Halloween season, so the drag queens are representing.
You're a very sexy, spooky girl.
Sexy, spooky skeleton. Yeah.
So tell me, when you're not in this, are you shy?
My out of drag name is Max. My in drag name is Max. I think I'm pretty consistent through and through.
Do you have a second job, or is this your full-time career?
Luckily, I can call drag my full-time job. Probably about 4 or 5 shows a week.
What would you say to someone out there that's thinking about getting into it? What advice would you have?
Don't do it. No, definitely do it. Everyone should try drag once, just so that you know the struggles, the trials and the tribulations that I go through every single day.
Can I come and play dress-ups at your house?
Oh yeah, I've got an abundance of wigs. I'll put you into that one now if you like. You're so welcome.
So whether it's a spot of bingo or a tabletop boogie, it's impossible not to feel uplifted in this place. In fact, the Piano Bar Joy has been so contagious that Andy has opened 3 more in the regional Victorian towns of Bendigo, Ballarat and Colac. So be sure to get your boogie shoes on down. And I think I saw some very expensive shots as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got vintage wet pussy shots and Mario Karts.